This week, the tale of Bloodline took an intriguing new turn. We'll see what happens next. We'll also see how Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and other celebrities are doing. Let's begin with the Bloodline. When Solo Sikoa and his whole bloodline entered the ring, he addressed Roman Reigns. Solo's claim that the OTC was over. He informed the supporters that while they may continue to chant for Roman, he is no longer with them due to the damage the Bloodline caused when they eliminated him in a 3-on-1 battle. It seems like Roman has been missing a few shows due to the Bloodline attack, which WWE is utilizing as a plot explanation. Roman's upcoming itinerary. Roman was originally supposed to make a debut on September 13th, but there is considerable ambiguity surrounding the date because Roman keeps being added to and then removed from the September 13th advertisements. Although it doesn't appear to be official anymore, September 13th is still a date to be aware of. However, Roman Reigns has a scheduled public engagement that is well ahead of that September 13th performance. Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns will be co-headlining the Power Players event in New York City on September 5th. It was recently confirmed. Thus, that is a guaranteed non-WWE appearance. But it might still be the first time we see Roman and Heyman together in public since April. We haven't seen those two together in public for almost 5 months, which is pretty crazy to think about. That's one event to watch out for. And maybe Roman and Heyman will reunite just 1 week later on September 13th. There was that photo of them both backstage at SummerSlam, and Heyman has even been backstage at some recent Raw episodes. Roman should definitely use this opportunity to make some moves and changes behind the scenes as the Bloodline just took him out. He knows he can't accomplish this by himself, so he's probably getting Paul Heyman and Jimmy Uso together right now to begin his backup plan. And when it becomes clear that perhaps even that isn't sufficient, perhaps that's when Jay and Sami enter the picture as the next course of action. But Roman has a ton of exciting things coming up. Although we saw him at SummerSlam and a couple SmackDown broadcasts, we haven't heard him say anything about the present state of the Bloodline. In order to obtain even more understanding of the feelings on both sides, perhaps some words can be shared between Roman and Solo if he does make an appearance again in September. Returning to Solo's promo, he addressed 2 other major issues in addition to Roman, which was the primary topic of conversation. Solo declared that he was still committed to returning the WWE title to the family. He declared that the winner of Bash in Berlin would have to face him immediately thereafter and defend the title against him. However, we are unsure of the veracity of this claim as Solo Sikoa appeared to have made the declaration without receiving any approval from Nick Aldis. As a result, we will have to wait and see if Solo's assertion holds up following Bash in Berlin. However, it doesn't appear that he will be having another title battle anytime soon. Despite this, he is still determined to return the WWE title to the family. Tag team titles were the subject of Solo Sikoa's third major and fascinating discussion. Jacob Fatu nearly single-handedly brought the tag team titles back to the family. However, Solo instructed Jacob to come up at this precise moment and give him his tag team titles. However, Solo had second thoughts and instructed Jacob to give it straight to Tonga Loa in order to allow Jacob to devote all of his attention to his responsibilities as an enforcer. Solo took away Jacob's tag team title. Solo justified this move by stating that he cannot have both his personal bodyguard and enforcer roaming about as a champion. And although Jacob didn't challenge Solo's move at first, he did appear to be somewhat perplexed and upset by it. For the time being, things still seem to be going well there as Jacob gives Solo the title, gives him a hug, and yells at him about how much he loves him. Fans, however, can't help but worry if Solo Sikoa's entire act of essentially depriving Jacob of a title he rightfully earned would eventually come back to haunt Solo. Is this being done to create friction between Jacob and Solo already? Given that Jacob was recently robbed of his first ever WWE title gold simply because his little cousin said so, perhaps it will even increase fan sympathy for Jacob. It undoubtedly tricks your mind and leaves you wondering about the deeper meaning and actual seeds that were being sown there with the entire act of taking away Jacob's title. Furthermore, Solo's action highlights the distinctions between Roman and Solo's roles as tribal head. Roman didn't give a damn about what the Bloodline members did as long as they kept winning and bringing in gold when he was in control. Roman never changed the titles of any members of his group or took any away from them, even when Solo, the Bloodline's enforcer, won the North American title. Roman didn't approach him right away and take away his title because of his enforcer responsibilities. Instead, Roman let him rock out with it. If you won a title while in the Bloodline, it was yours. It's therefore really strange that Solo is now in command and has stripped someone of a position inside the family that they have earned. Jacob is well aware that his chances of winning any WWE championships are now limited due to Sikoa's single ban. This raises the question of how long Jacob will put up with these situations before losing it and going solo, because it seems to be the primary seed being sown there, for sure, although it didn't work out. The claims that Jacob Fatu was a Roman Reigns spy are still plausible because Jacob might end up switching sides. In particular, since Jay and Sami are unlikely to arrive anytime soon, if Jacob turns to Roman, the conflict between the bloodlines will be quite balanced and fair, because that's when it will be Solo, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa against Roman, Jimmy, and Jacob. A fairly even 3-on-3 match in which Roman's team appears to have the advantage, at least theoretically. Thus, that presents another avenue for investigation. Returning to the Tonga's defense of their tag team titles versus the Street Profits. However, the situation appeared to be a dire one for the Bloodline. Even so, Jacob Fatu, who isn't even in the fight and is wearing a walking boot, had to intervene on behalf of outside parties in order to essentially still give the Bloodline the victory and successful championship defense. Thus, even when he isn't participating in the match and isn't the tag team champion, Jacob continues to be the family's pillar of support. Of course, Roman Reigns vs. Solo Sikoa is currently the major focus. But don't ignore what seems to be the B story in this case, which is Solo versus Jacob, because there is a really fascinating dynamic going on there. Although Solo undoubtedly believes that Jacob Fatu has the potential to succeed on his own, Solo will do all in his power to restrain and discipline him in order to prevent the breakout. For this reason, he took away his title in order to prevent Jacob from outpacing him and ascending the mountain too quickly. This way, he could only keep Jacob in line and prevent him from having complete freedom. We'll have to wait and see where this narrative goes from here, but it's definitely getting hotter. However, what do you think of the stories from today? Please feel free to comment below, subscribe with all alerts enabled, and hit like if you found the content interesting. I appreciate you all watching, folks.